Hey everybody, welcome to Kimmel's Irish Pub. Time for another movie review. Tonight's movie, No Sudden Move. I just got lucky. I was looking around for a movie, just about to head into Netflix to see what I have in there. And when I went, it's on my Fire Stick, and I went and No Sudden Move came up. And I saw a picture of Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro. And I was like, huh, it must be a TV series, or I would know if a new movie came out with those two in it. And it also has David Harbour, John Hamm is in it, so kind of excited. And it's a movie. It's an hour and 55 minutes long, but it's about a group of criminals who are brought together mysteriously, and they're not sure why, and they got to kind of figure it out once their job goes bad or something like that. I don't know. No idea, to be honest with you. It's on HBO Max. I was like, what? This is awesome. So 7.0 on IMDb, and 489 people have rated it. So that means you might not have heard of this yet. So I don't know. Let me get into it. Let me find out what it's about, give you a better idea, and let you know what I think. I mean, you do have to have HBO Max to get it, but that's pretty stinking awesome. Alright, I'll be back. Hey everybody, I want to do a quick check-in here. I always forget what I'm doing. No Sudden Move. We're at the 1:04:04. 1 hour, 4 minutes, 4 seconds. No lie, I thought that was pretty neat. But, just over halfway, so there's about 51 minutes left in the film. And Don Cheadle and Benicio del Toro are the hired hands, if you will. I don't know, I'll put it at that. Whereas John Hamm, he is the police officer, and Stranger Things guy, he's somehow involved with a company. I don't think he's a banker, but let's go with that. I don't know. It's interesting to follow because they don't set it right up that you can follow it that closely. You got to kind of follow it through. So anyway, the two of them and Macaulay Culkin's brother is in it as well. The three of them are hired to babysit this family while Stranger Things guy goes to his workplace to get some sort of plans and then bring them back. And that's really the whole basis of it. You're not sure what everything is. What are these plans? So who are these people? They don't know who each other are. So it's all starting to unravel very, very slowly throughout. But it's entertaining, and you're trying to learn really quick. I almost forgot the biggest piece. Brendan Fraser is in this. I didn't notice his name, but then he's right in the beginning. And he's the one recruiting everybody. He's kind of like the gopher for the big boss, who we again don't know who the big boss is, but Brendan Fraser is part of pulling them all together, getting together. You guys babysit while he goes and gets the document and brings it back. That's simple. So as you can imagine, a lot of different things can happen. The family that they're babysitting, the son, I'm looking at him like, who is this kid? I've seen him. He was in A Quiet Place, and in A Quiet Place Part 2. So, The Quiet Place, whatever. But, so I was like, oh, okay, I know who that kid is. I had to look it up, though. But, so there's some interesting actors in this so far. And it's slow moving because you got to pay attention the whole time because they're starting to reveal stuff every now and again, in a sense, so you got to follow it along. So takes place in the 60s, I believe, judging by the cars. I didn't read that. I'm looking at the cars and thinking this is probably 50s or 60s. I'm going to say late 50s, early 60s. That's where I think it is, based on the car type. So no cell phones or anything like that. And we'll take it from there. There's a lot more that there's a lot of different pieces that they can play with throughout this movie that we'll see where it goes. So alright, I've rambled enough. Let me get back to it, see what happens, and give me my final thoughts. I'll be back. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of No Sudden Movement, and I have to say, slightly disappointed, and here's why. I mean, maybe it was a really good story. There was, the first check-in I felt it was pretty good, but I'll say it is very involved. I don't even know if that's the right term. Very cluttered. For me, and maybe not. Like I don't remember not focusing on the movie. Sometimes that happens, I'll admit that, but I don't remember doing that. But there were so many different pieces And you know, I get it. Like, there's going to be, you know, first of all, Benicio and, you know, and the other, I don't want to say thieves, but the other hired hands. That's what I refer to them as. They don't know who each other are, so there's background there. And that's going to bring in other characters from those backgrounds. There's the head boss who's coming in, who's running the whole thing. And then, you know, they're trying to manipulate the whole situation for their benefit, in a sense, you know, and it gets it got a little confusing to me. Wasn't sure exactly who was who, why people were involved, and then the way that they acted. I know that seems silly, but if you watch it, you'll see what I mean. I think if you haven't seen it yet and you plan on watching it, I mean, I would encourage you to. If you have HBO Max, of course you're going to. But really pay attention and focus on the storylines and the individual storylines that are created from this whole caper, I'll call it. I mean, it all kind of makes sense in the end to me, for the most part, but it didn't bring me any joy, if you will. So here's the thing. At the end, you know what I mean? Like, they're all trying to do one thing, and you always, in most movies, want to root for somebody, or you like somebody better than the other, and you know, you want to see them come out on top. I didn't get that sense. You know, I mean, I liked the characters. I mean, especially Don Cheadle and Benicio. That's who it's really around, those two. What's his name? David Harbour, Stranger Things, is involved as well, and Colleen McCauken and stuff like that, his brother, are in this. And then there's you know, some of the wives and mistresses are involved, but I didn't really find myself pulling for anybody. And you know, maybe at the end it was like, I was, not that the end wasn't done well. You know what I mean? The end was what the end was. You know, they were going to do a certain thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that's the way they're going to end it. And that's cool. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I didn't care either way. It didn't hook me in that I was like, oh, wow. I was just like, oh, okay, so that's what they did. Again, nothing wrong with the way the ending was written in this case. Like, they could have done it in many different ways, and this way is fine. I just didn't care. It wouldn't have mattered, I don't think, any way that they could have done it. And you'll see what I mean when you watch it. So I think that says something about the movie. You want to be at the end like, oh, wow, are you kidding me? Or, oh, wow, yeah, that's what I was thinking. Or, you know, you don't have to say, oh, wow, but you have to in your mind when you see it. And like, I can't believe they did that. Or I'm so glad that happened. And again, this is my feeling. I would never say that in the movie. I would think that kind of thing, or I've had that kind of emotion, and I didn't. I was just like, okay, the end. And I guess it's might be based on a true fact. I wouldn't say, they never said it was based on a true story, but at the end of the movie they put some words up on the screen that lead you to believe that a portion of this was based on something. And again, I don't want to go into too much detail because what they tell you about is part of the mystery and intrigue throughout the film on, you know, what's going on without, you know, and I found that interesting for the first half of the film. Like, it was like, nobody knows who they are, nobody knows what they're trying to steal, nobody knows who the bosses are. Cool. And then you get a better idea, and it's like, ugh, it's too much for me right now. I guess I needed something to really focus and narrow in and care. So I apologize. One last thing, I will say this without spoiling it. There are a couple of people in this movie that I didn't tell you about. I didn't even notice them on IMDb because I would have told you. Some nice little cameos that I enjoyed. That I'm not going to spoil it for you because that was fun for me. So there you go. Sorry I couldn't be more detailed, but doesn't hook me, doesn't draw me in. Has an interesting concept. One thing I will say, one last piece, I found it funny because, you know, we're used to movies nowadays when thieves are stealing, they're stealing tons and tons of money, right? Usually these guys they're trading $50,000. You know what I mean, for certain things, and it's like, they're carrying a big bag of $50,000 or $100,000. It's like, whoa! It's like, you know what I mean? It's not, yeah, and it's just funny because of the times and the difference in, you know, the way money's valued now. Back then, that was awesome. Now, I mean, I'd love $50,000. So if you want to give it to me, I'm cool, but I wouldn't go steal for $50,000. That's for sure. So that's it. That was the last fact. So hopefully I was helpful. Watch it, but if you're gonna watch it, I think my biggest piece of advice is focus, pay attention to what the guys are doing, who they're dealing with, and how it's all gonna play in here. Because if you don't, you'll be disappointed in the end for sure. Still might be, but not in the end of the movie. But in, like, when it's over, it's like, oh, I wasn't invested enough. They didn't make me invested enough. So. Hopefully I helped you. Alright, that's it. Thanks for tuning in. Kimmel's Irish Pub.